Hi guys, Jenny with On Fire Fit, and today I am talking about detox foods because I do get that question quite often, and I also am always on the search when I'm not feeling my best. And it's usually because I've been eating foods that I really know are not the best for me, but sometimes I just get tired of eating what I'm eating, and every once in a while I will eat stuff or get into a bad habit. Like one day I'll think, oh, I can have this piece of sourdough bread, and so the next day I have 2 pieces, and then on and on. And so it ends up not working well with my system. Maybe sourdough bread is fine for you. I'm just saying that things that I know that I can do a little bit and get away with it, but over time it just creates a lot of inflammation in my body. My digestion isn't as good. I just don't feel as good. I feel more foggy brained and things like that. And so I always am kind of looking to get back on track and reset. And I try to live that way, but you know, none of us are perfect. So I'm gonna kind of give you a little rundown on a few different things that I use. And then I also have separate videos on exactly how I make some of these things. So I will link those for you as well. But this is just a quick overview so that if you are looking for trying to get into a detox or just getting your body to feel better is really what it is. Maybe you can incorporate one or more of these things and see if they help you. Okay, so let's get started. One of the first things I want to remind you is that my goal is to help people feel better so that they can live their life on fire. And we all want to live energetic lives where we actually make a difference and have a purpose and have something to get us up in the morning and get us excited. And yeah, I don't think there's very many people that want to leave the earth and really feel like they didn't contribute anything. And so that is my hope, is that as you start to feel better, you can do better. And one of the great ways to start to feel better is to add a bunch of greens back into your diet. So I get these at Costco, and it has baby chard, kale, and spinach. Power greens, they call it. It is organic. And I will either eat this as a salad sometimes, I will cook it sometimes, and I will add it into a smoothie or into my bone broth that I drink. And the benefits of those we can talk about separately, but just knowing that you're getting more greens in your diet. And by the way, getting the greens sometimes cooked and sometimes raw, because a lot of these things actually have a different nutrient profile when you cook them versus eating them raw. So I just try to keep mixing it up depending on what it is that I'm eating or what I'm in the mood for, or if it's hot or cold outside, things like that. I will, kind of choose which direction I'm gonna go with that. So this would be a great thing to start adding in to help your body to feel better. Okay, water is a given. We all know that. Do we drink it enough? Sometimes not. If I'm on vacation, if I'm at work, if I get super busy and I'm on my to-do list, I oftentimes will forget. I try to drink from a straw because for some reason I drink more. So it doesn't really matter why, I just do. And part of it, I really think, you're gonna think this is so dumb. When I take a drink this way without a straw, maybe 10% of the time water spills on my face. Don't ask. I think it's because I'm like doing something else or talking to somebody or whatever. I really don't want water down the front of me all the time. So if I drink from a straw, I feel like I am 100% guaranteed that it's actually going where I wanted it to go. And adding lemon to anything is always going to be a good idea for a detoxing kind of thing. Some people, like my mom, don't like lemon in their water. That's fine. Maybe you want to add it, squeeze some onto a cucumber. That really increases the nutrient value, as well as it gets you more hydrated. And so we'll talk about all these different items separately, but lemon water or just water is going to be a great thing for you to do. And the general rule of thumb, depending on who you are and how your health conditions are, which you should talk to your doctor, normally we say drink half to 2/3 your weight in ounces of water per day. So depending on how, how much weight you have, you can drink about half your body weight or a little more per day in ounces. Now, certain kidney conditions, aging, if you're not sweating that much, there's a number of factors that might increase or decrease that. So you would want to talk to your doctor if you have any medical conditions. But otherwise, that's kind of a great rule of thumb. Okay, I am not necessarily trying to promote Dr. Axe, although I really like a lot of what he says in his videos and things. I'm not an affiliate of his, at least at this time, but I did do some research on his bone broth as well as his products like collagen. I use another product called Great Lakes Gelatin, which is a collagen as well. And what I liked is that the way that he does his sourcing, where he gets this, you're not getting a bunch of toxic stuff in there. And I think what we have to be careful of is when we start incorporating a bunch of supplemental things, you really need to know where they come from. For instance, bone broth is really good for you, but if the bones of the animal that they took that bone broth or made that bone broth from come from animals that have been commercially raised, so they're eating a bunch of junk, and they're eating junk that probably has heavy metal content, or even if the types of grasses and things that they're eating are full of extra heavy metals and chemicals, then you're going to be ingesting that. And so you really want to be careful that you're not just picking the cheapest thing and just grabbing willy-nilly off the shelf. I try to really check into those things. I am not obviously at the processing plant where he makes his stuff, so I'm relying on information that I have read. But my feeling is that if you are using these things in an appropriate way, not in an extreme way, you are going to get benefit from it. I think the danger maybe would be if you were trying to use something exclusively for long periods of time. For instance, if you were using this for every meal, maybe there's some higher risk. I just like variety because I feel like the more that we kind of believe in one thing as the magic solution, the more often we end up with some sort of downside to it. So I think if you keep a balance, keep it kind of not so hardcore that you have to have it 9 times a day or whatever, you're gonna be fine. So anyway, I'll link his the information below for his stuff, but I bought the one that has turmeric in it, and so it does have a more I don't know what you want to call it, grabs you feeling. So I wouldn't necessarily put this into like a fruit smoothie or something, but I have used this with collagen. I actually used it with this one because I already have this one open, and I really love this one. I'll talk about that in a second, but I've put that together. This is a powder. So what you do is I took, about 4 or 5 cups of filtered water, and I put it into a crock pot or a pot, and then I put about 4 scoops of this. So I think it's about 1 scoop per serving, 12 ounces of water. So, and then I took those scoops, I didn't really measure exactly, so it was probably more water than that, but basically just made a bunch of bone broth, and then I added the collagen in. But at the same time, I thought, oh, why don't I add some more good stuff to it, right? So I chopped up some celery, carrots, onions, garlic, and I put a whole bunch of herbs, and I ended up cooking it slowly over time. I think it went for about 8 hours, and now I have a big thing of bone broth. And what I'll do when I'm feeling kind of like, just heavy in my stomach, or I feel like my digestion's not right, I will drink like a big cup of that at least once a day. And it really seems to fill you so that you're not starving, but it also is really easy to digest. And I'll talk about the benefits of some of these as well, but it really has a nice detoxifying effect on your body. So those are great things to add in as well. Okay, I just talked about collagen, but I wanted to say really quick that this type of collagen in the green can, I actually have not opened this one yet, so I'm not going to speak about that one, but this one that I've been using forever is a type of collagen that dissolves. So other types of gelatin or collagen will actually make jello, which is very anti-inflammatory. It's high in amino acids, and that is really good for our bodies. And we can get into all the details of that if you're interested, but the thing I like about this is I can add it to my tea or coffee, I can add it into my smoothie, I can add it into my bone broth, and it just dissolves. There's another one of these that's an actual like orange can, same company, and that one actually makes more of a jello. Oh, and I do have another product that makes more of a jello type of thing, and let me grab that. This is another great thing that you can use for a collagen type of product, and it is going to make it more of a jello. So you can make like so-called healthy gummy snacks or jello with this one. And there's a bunch of recipes that they have online, but I've used this occasionally, not often, but this one, it will not dissolve. If you want something that'll dissolve right into your beverage, this would be the one. Another detoxifying and good thing for your gut health is going to be sauerkraut. And I have a video on how to make this if you're going to do it yourself. They say that 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut has more probiotics in it than a bottle full of probiotic capsules. I guess they sent it to a lab and found that out. So I usually still try to take a probiotic, but this I also try to add into my day, especially when I'm trying to get my system back on track. So sauerkraut is not that hard to make. You certainly can buy it. I'm not really sure how much better it is for you or not, but that is definitely something that you should try. Okay, now we are down on the kitchen floor, and I'm going to show you my spice rack because I think it's really important to include a lot of herbs and seasonings. And in our culture, we are one of the cultures that really does not use much with seasonings and spices, and really they are used all over the world in other types of cuisine and very important for us in all different kinds of ways. And I'll talk about that later. But when I made my bone broth, I added a big sprinkling of a whole bunch of these, and whatever you have on hand would be great, but I'm gonna open this up and let's take a look. So I used in my bone broth this last time some of my cilantro. I put in some cumin. I love cumin. In fact, I put that and some lemon on some fish. My son could not get enough of it. It was so good. Okay, then we have oregano. I have different types of oregano because my husband actually has an employee that grows this. So this is dried from their yard. And so I have more of a powder version that they made for us, and then I have more of a leaf version, but I've put those in there. Here's paprika, which I don't use often because I'm not really well versed with it except for like chili or whatever, but that would probably be fine too. Rosemary is really good. I also have a plant outside that I'm going to show you. And then I use some savory and some thyme. And then turmeric is really anti-inflammatory, so you really want to try to find ways to get this into your diet. I add that to the soup. And then ginger, of course, is going to give you a little extra bang for your buck, but ginger is also super, super good for helping you detox, so this is going to be a great one to add too. And of course, garlic powder, regular garlic, you know, whatever. So yep, that's the spice rack. Okay, I also have this little outdoor pot that has some fresh herbs, and actually we need to replant
it looks like a little bit. This is mint, and I use that in our water really every day. My kids absolutely love mint in their water. This is basil, and the basil looks like somebody has been chomping on those little leaves down there. We usually find some kind of little centipede in there, but I put basil in salads, chop it up, I put it on chicken, just all kinds of things. And then we've got some rosemary back here. And of course, rosemary, yum, such a good flavor. I put it on chicken and fish and can do all sorts of things with it.
Okay, I hope that helps you a little bit. I'm sure I missed a zillion things, but those were the things that I had on hand and that popped into my mind when I was making this video. I would love to hear what you do. Do you have a recipe, or is there a certain ingredient that you love to add that really helps your body to feel better? Please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. I hope that you have a fantastic day and you live on fire.